Austin Talks Through the Movie. Howdy, I'm Austin Larson, and this is Austin Talks Through the Movie, a supplemental podcast to the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo podcast. Once again, I'm joined here in the studio by my guest, the always lovely Loran.
Hey there.
Loran, thank you so much for rejoining me for yet another episode of Austin Talks Through the Movie. Today we're going to be talking about 1984's Suburbia.
Okay.
That's a film you haven't seen, right?
Right, haven't seen it.
This film, like a lot of things on this show, this does have, it's made with a little bit of a punk focus in mind.
All right.
Loran, what do you think the first punk album you listened to was? And I mean, I guess not count as much as I will always have a special place in my heart for, like the Fall Out Boy and everything of that nature, but the stuff that was super duper poppy, I mean, and as much as I love Fall Out Boy, it was all very poppy.
Right.
What do you think of the first real something that even if it is a little bit poppier, not super poppy, if that makes any sense? I hope I'm not gatekeeping, but I'm sure you understand.
No, I get, yeah.
Okay, what would you say the first album for you was?
Oh, Dookie, maybe?
Dookie? Okay.
Okay, and then maybe like, the Against Me albums, As the Eternal Cowboy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, no, I feel that. Let's see, for me, the first album I remember listening to, like, all the way through was Velvet Revolver's Libertad.
Okay.
That was one that I remember buying and listening to, like, in one sitting all the way through. But as far as punk albums go, again, kind of excluding the Fall Out Boys and whatnot, probably the first punk album I remember listening to was Rise Against, The Sufferer and the Witness. And even then, it's on the poppier side of punk. I mean, it's definitely not Against Me. It's definitely not, a lot of bands.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, still definitely.
It counts.
It counts, yeah, and then of course later as I got older, I think I heard Brand New for the first time in the 6th grade. Yeah.
God, I'm so old.
Well, no, I mean, they had been around for a while, but that was just the first time I heard them.
I was definitely in high school.
So, have you ever, lived in a punk house?
The first house I moved into when I turned 18 with 3 friends of mine. You've seen Fight Club?
Hell yeah, I've seen Fight Club.
The Paper Street house?
Oh my god.
I lived in that house.
Oh, jeez. That's,
Pretty much almost down to the T. It didn't leak quite as bad, and we had a half pipe in the backyard for a while, so...
Hey, shit, I mean, half pipe, that's fucking dope.
Right?
I mean, how long did you live there?
Oh, maybe all of 6 months tops.
And
we were all 18 and we're dumb. And
18, first apartment out of mom's house. How'd you move out there of all places?
My friend and I were looking around originally for like a 2-bedroom house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like an apartment or something?
Mm-hmm.
Just you and her, right?
Mm-hmm, just
okay.
me and her. And we were driving by the parts of town we liked, and we drove by this house, and we called the guy and he got all the information, and it was that you could have had at least 6 bedrooms in that house.
Oh shit!
It was huge, but it was over 100 years old, really easy.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so just historic.
Oh yeah. I drove by it recently, and they've fixed it up, and it's so nice now, and I'm really jealous.
And you just think about, the deeds we did back in the day.
God, they probably would have actual air conditioning now. I'm jealous.
They probably had to have a fucking exorcism.
God, there's a Hobbit closet.
Ooh,
in the bathroom.
Really? Oh
yeah.
Shit!
But yeah, so a clawfoot bathtub in my big bathroom. Yeah.
I miss my clawfoot tub.
They're nice. But anyway, there's to the left of that. There's a little door that was literally half my size. And we opened it up, and it's people left old clothes and furniture and stuff they didn't want. But we started calling it the Hobbit closet, and it was the funniest thing in the world.
No, that's fucking dope. Let's see, anything Fight Club-esque, or I guess just anything go down in your immediate memory in that house while you were living there. That's oh my god, this is a fucking punk house.
There's multiple times I came home and had to step over people in the middle of the night to try to get to the bathroom. People I wouldn't even know their first, last, middle name, anything. It was just oh, you're okay. I'm just gonna walk over you and not step on your head. I just have to pee.
Oh, damn. That's, I never actually lived in a punk house. I guess kind of growing up, in that early adulthood, late teens, whatever. I spent a lot of time at a couple of them in Eastern Oregon. Spent a lot of time at a couple of them, but never really lived in one. Although my first apartment, it was probably pretty close. I'm not gonna lie. It was, the level of hygiene, just the general attitude toward authority, and really everything, pretty close. But it was not a true punk house by any means. It was, yeah. You ever picked up a hitchhiker?
I have not.
Never in your life, ever?
Never.
Spidey and I did once back in the day.
How am I not surprised?
It was right after we graduated high school, and we were making the drive from Pendleton to Walla Walla. Let's see, I was 17. He had just turned 18, and and we were with his girlfriend. It was his fiance at the time, because they had just and Spidey had just gotten engaged. So he was, excuse me. So yeah, he was 18, she was 17, I was 17. And we just saw this little old man. I think he either had a cane or a walker by the side of the road, and we were just driving from Pendleton to Walla Walla, which, I mean, it's a pretty boring drive. I mean, it's a 2-lane highway, 55 the whole way out there. And it takes you about 45 minutes, but it's a slow 45 minutes, you know? But yeah, so we were just driving, and we see this little old man, and we passed him, and we were kind of talking about, it's kind of sad that this little old man's all alone, just walking by the side of the road. We have no idea where he's going, but if you're walking by the side of the highway like that, we end up stopping. Spidey fucking gets out of the car, runs back, tries to tell the dude, hey, we'll just give you a ride, man. And I think and I sat out in the car for like 5 minutes before I had the grand idea. How about instead of just waiting for them to catch up with us, I just got I got out of the passenger seat into the driver's seat, and I flipped a U-ey. I drove right to them, and yeah, we picked him up. His name was he was a super sweet old man. He smelled really bad. I mean, he hadn't had a shower in a while, but he was just a super sweet guy, super thankful. He had a bunch of tattoos on his arms that were blacked out.
Ooh.
And to this day, I mean, I kind of wonder if maybe he was like with Club at some point or something. Basically, yeah, he had a bunch of tattoos on his arms, but they were all blacked out. And I was just like, oh, I wasn't going to ask, though. But super nice guy, and I think we ended up taking him out into town, Walla Walla. We dropped him off in a mini-mart somewhere, and as we were pulling up, Spidey asks him, he's like, yeah, do you have any money, man? And I was like, oh my god, Spidey, please. I thought he was going to ask him, oh, hey, gas ain't cheap. Or, I was scared of that, and looked a little, sheepish. He was like, hey, man, I'm kind of waiting on my Social Security at the end of the month. So Spidey pulls out his wallet. He fucking handed the dude a 10, and he said, well, how about you go buy yourself a cheeseburger and maybe a drink too, all right, man, And he was super thankful, and yeah, we let him out, and it was, he was a cool guy. So the one experience I had picking up a hitchhiker was positive.
So you were lucky.
I was lucky, yeah, it was, and even to this day, I think that was if you listen to the third episode of the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo podcast with Spidey York, that was not his last experience picking up a hitchhiker. The last one wasn't so good for him. So today we're going to be watching 1984's Suburbia, directed by Penelope Spheris. Not sure if you're familiar with her at all.
I am not.
Let's see. She directed a documentary in 1981 called The Decline of Western Civilization.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Very good documentary about the early 80s LA punk scene. And one of my favorite things is Black Flag is actually they're profiled in the documentary along with I want to say the Germs and a couple other bands, but
okay.
Black Flag is in the film, and they're featured somewhat prominently, but it's pre-Rollins Black Flag.
Oh,
like Ron Reyes is still the front man, and it's just, I guess for me growing up, Black Flag with the Rollins lineup. I mean, that's just, in my mind, that's Black Flag. Even though, yeah. I think around the time I actually got into Black Flag, I think Mike V was actually singing for them around that time.
Oh shit, okay.
Yeah, I fucking love Mike V. I mean, I love him as a skater. I love him as a fighter. I love him as a singer. I mean, Mike Vallely can do no wrong in my eyes. I'm sorry. Anyway. This film, Suburbia, 1984, not to be confused with the Eric Bogosian film from 1996 of the same name, actually an adaptation of his 1994 stage play. That in itself is a great play, great film, just not what we're talking about today. All right, Loran, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Hope you're enjoying the show so far. I forgot to mention it, but we're watching Suburbia on ShoutFactoryTV.com. The Decline of Western Civilization is available on Tubi, but both are available for free on YouTube. I'll include links for both in the description, but if you follow the show on YouTube, I'll just go ahead and add both videos to the Austin Talks Through the Movie playlist available there. We're just about 10 minutes into the show, so if you plan on watching Suburbia, go ahead and pause this. Otherwise, here's a plot summary for the film from Wikipedia.
3, 2, 1.
A hitchhiking teenage runaway, Sheila, is picked up on Interstate 605 in the greater Los Angeles area by a woman with a toddler. When the car gets a flat tire, they find a telephone booth on the edge of an abandoned tract housing district. While the mother is on the phone, the toddler is attacked and killed by a stray dog. Another teenage runaway, Evan Johnson, leaves his suburban home and abusive, alcoholic mother, ending up at a punk rock concert by D.I. where Keith slips drugs into his drink. The concert ends abruptly when a female attendee has her clothes torn off by punks in the audience. Jack Diddley offers Evan a place to stay at TR House, a punk house in the abandoned tract housing district off Interstate 605. Along the way, they pick up Joe Schmo, who also intends to move into the house. Joe changes his mind when he learns each resident must be branded with the letters TR, the rejected, but winds up coming back and accepting the brand after his father locks him out. He begins to form a romantic relationship with Sheila, who has also moved into the house. The next morning, several men from Citizens Against Crime, including Jim Triplett and Bob Skokes, drive through the neighborhood shooting at the packs of wild dogs that roam the area. TR kids Razzle and Skinner confront them, but the situation is diffused by Jack's stepfather, police officer Bill Renard. Jack, Evan, and Skinner steal food for the house by raiding the garages of a nearby suburban neighborhood, and they make further enemies of Jim and Bob by disrupting their garage sale. When Evan sees on the news that his mother has been arrested for drunk driving, he collects his younger brother, Evan, and brings him to live at TR House, where Sheila gives him a mohawk. Sheila admits to Joe that she was physically and sexually abused by her father. During a TSOL concert, the TR gang get into a fight defending Skinner. The men they were fighting with enter the concert and stab a security guard, framing the TR kids for the crime by using the knife to hang a flyer with TR written in blood. Jim and Bob next witness the TR crew vandalizing a convenience store. At a Citizens Against Crime meeting, they accuse Bill and the rest of the police of not doing enough to curb the teenagers' criminal behavior, declaring their willingness to take the law into their own hands. Bill goes to the TR house and implores the teens to stay out of trouble. That night, Jim and Bob invade the house and threaten the teens, assaulting Sheila in the process. The next morning, the kids find that Sheila has killed herself by overdosing on Keith's drugs. Not knowing what to do, they bring her body back to her parents. When the TR kids come out to the funeral, Sheila's father insists they leave. Joe reveals his knowledge of Sheila's abuse, and a fight breaks out, hospitalizing Sheila's father. At a Vandals concert later that night, Bill shows up and warns the TR kids to clear out of TR House immediately, before their actions bring the Citizens Against Crime down on their heads, but they decide to stay. Learning of the violence at the funeral, Jim and Bob show up at the house and are attacked by the teens, who drive them off. They bring their car back around for another pass, accidentally running over and killing Ethan. Bill arrives, but it is too late to prevent the tragedy. One of my favorite topics, one of my favorite people, one of my favorite films. Thanks again, Loran. All of the show's social media links can be found at one website, that's campsite.bio/ex-girlfriend tattoo podcast. While you're there, be sure to check out the all-new merch store at redbubble.com/people/EX-GFTAT2POD/shop. Slowly but surely, it's all coming together. Not all of the designs have been optimized for all of the merchandise yet, but all of the classic t-shirts, postcards, posters, stickers, and face masks are all ready to go. Go ahead and check us out at campsite.bio/ex-girlfriend tattoo podcast, or just go ahead and leave us a message at 509-713-2217. Alright, hope you've enjoyed so far. Here's the rest of the episode. We now return to the viewing in progress. Alright, so what'd you think of that?
It was way better than the other one we just watched. So definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like a precursor to like SLC Punk or something.
Yeah, definitely. I would see it that way.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed SLC Punk, and no, this is definitely kind of a precursor. Yeah, just that opening shot. Oh my god, 4 lanes going the same direction, all doing 45 miles an hour. Holy fuck, that was painful.
Right.
Oh, God, and then just seeing the wood-paneled exterior of that station wagon, just it shows its age. Yeah, so when Evan's getting yelled at by his mom because she thinks that he's been drinking all her vodka, you ever had a parent so drunk that they forgot they yelled at you and they yell at you again?
Probably.
It happens, you know? I was like, oh shit, that's the dialogue is very realistic. The first shot of some of those TR kids, I feel like they care just way too much about their appearance.
Oh, definitely.
That takes a lot of effort. That is
The hair
very
dye,
intentional.
the
Oh my
jewelry,
God.
and yeah,
All of it. It's all very, yeah. But that pit during the first gig, that seems downright tame.
Oh yeah, I've seen way worse.
Oh yeah, no, I mean literally it was a circle pit and it was so small. But yeah, and then when Skinner starts shoving that girl after he says that he'd like to fuck her brains out, but it doesn't look like she has any.
Mm-hmm.
When they start ripping off her clothes like that, do you think an assault like that would go nearly as far in today's punk scene before
God,
somebody
no.
Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, the fact that there were people joining in and everything like that,
That would
it
not
was
happen today.
especially, I mean, the singer, he didn't really intervene quickly enough or severely enough.
No,
I mean,
no.
it was, yeah.
Doesn't fly nowadays.
Seriously. But then again, okay, so it just illustrates that the punk scene has had an assault problem like that for at least 37 years. But throwing up in the car is the fucking worst.
I lost a whole purse that way.
Ugh, oh,
Yeah.
God, oh, fuck, which birthday was that?
It was 23 or 24. You don't mix car bombs and fuck, what was it? The
You
mint
don't
shit.
have car bombs, period.
I like car bombs. Was it car bombs and Rumple back to back?
Oh, not the Mins. Oh, God, I've got some Rumpelman stories that, yeah,
Oh,
no. They don't end well for anyone.
Never. It's never a thing.
Yeah, you know what sucks almost as bad as puking in the car?
Hmm.
Pushing the car.
Pushing the car full of puke?
I've never had to push a car full of puke. I've had to push a car. I've thrown up in a car. The first time I did blow with Spidey, that was, yeah. Oh, God. But yeah, and then, so Joe doesn't like his gay dad, and Jack doesn't like his black stepdad. Just hearing that, kind of, I was like, oh my God, was there, are those guys really that racist and homophobic? I kind of
Anti-punk?
thought
Like,
about
how
it.
does that work?
Exactly, that's kind of what I was thinking about. I mean, I thought, A, lot of it's definitely shock value, but B, also, I just think that those two dudes are so determined to hate the only real authority figures in their lives. I think that they're just so determined to hate those guys that they'll cling on to anything that they perceive could be used against them. Early 80s, racism and homophobia, So, I mean, I feel like both those guys, I want to believe that they were clinging to those just because they hated their, they were immature, they hated the authority figures in their lives.
It didn't matter who they were.
Seriously. And that being said, just because they're dumb, young, and angry, like when they're smashing those bottles against the bus, really? What fucking purpose does that serve? I mean, I don't feel like that's a thing that happens today, just for the sake of doing it. In the punk, I guess, in the punk
even
scene
being young,
that much.
dumb, and angry, it doesn't happen.
Seriously, right? Of course, when we first enter Joe's room, just on his door, he has a poster for The Decline of Western Civilization, Penelope Spheris' 1981 punk documentary. So I was like, oh, that's a way to pat yourself on the back there. But he is listening to the Germs GI album, so that was also very cool because the Germs are profiled in that film. And I mean, if you haven't listened to GI, oh my God, great fucking record, just go check it out. When we first entered the TR house, I don't know if you caught the Fear graffiti in the living room.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Fuck yeah. Just, pretty, I guess, somewhat well-known, LA punk band. They performed on Saturday Night Live and fucking tore down the set. It was, yeah. That was something that could only happen when John Belushi was a member of the cast,
Oh, for sure.
That opening scene with Razzle, I think that might be the first Flea that actually has a rat. Oh man, I can't believe just seeing Flea in one of I think that might have been his first film role. I mean, because I know that one of the first ones I saw him in was, of course, Back to the Future.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, right? And then, of course, when they're all getting their haircuts, it just kind of made me miss just communal home haircuts back in the day,
The bowl cuts.
Oh my
Straight
God,
up.
the bowl. I never had a bowl cut, but back in the day,
Thank
Are you fucking,
fucking
yeah,
with me,
yeah, you are fucking with me. Nobody looks good with a bowl cut.
Nobody.
I mean, I don't know.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, maybe?
Even then,
even
nah,
then.
that's a face you want to punch. That's, I never had the bowl cut, but I feel like now I could probably rock the bullet, bowl mullet. I mean, No, I'm getting a big head shrug. Okay, if you say so. I don't know, but back in the day, I mean, I didn't live in a punk house, but when I was spending a lot of time with him, I mean, getting a haircut meant, oh, this kid's slightly more sober than you are. He's got clippers, just fucking do it, like back in the day, would, I mean, I'd just pull out 2 cigarettes out the pack, we'd go right inside, grab a couple beers, and yeah, we'd just do it right there on the fucking porch. I mean, it was hot out, and yeah, and then just sweep it all away. It was,
Must be nice.
It was the life back then. I kind of miss it a little bit, And then those TR brands, I mean, for me, it kind of felt like hazing a little bit.
Yeah, I can see
Just
that.
a little bit, but at the
Little.
same time, I get it. You kind of have to, you have to vet out your people, you know?
You can't let anybody in there. Yeah.
You really can't, you know? I mean, and even then, a burn like that is... I know how it's going to sound, but yeah, I mean, like a little burn like that, it's really not that bad, you know? I mean, there's tattoo over it now, but from Spidey's bachelor party from his first marriage, that was one that I think, yeah, Spidey, Camden, and myself, yeah. All four. There might have been a couple other guys there, but we were all just drinking, and I said, hey, you know, okay, right arm, 3 seconds, and
Ooh.
yeah. But I guess I have another cigarette burn on my arm from when I was 17. Like this arm, I fucking, yeah, it was a full minute, so. How does that house still have gas and power?
How?
Because like some of the punk houses in Pendleton that I knew about, you know, and the sad part is, I mean, I'll call them punk houses and stuff, but really they were just like drug dens. I mean, I guess I never got the true punk house experience. Most of them, I mean, and there were, you know, a couple people who were fairly, you know, like punk in there, but mostly it was, I think a house full of Keiths from this movie.
Okay.
House full of Keiths.
Okay.
Was it Keith or Keith?
I thought it was Keith.
You know, we're just gonna call him Keith. Yeah. Just imagine a house full of Keiths from that film.
Okay.
They all had power and gas, water even too sometimes. Like people were shitting in buckets and stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah, I never saw that, but like that was after my time. But I heard stories from friends and stuff that people were pooping in buckets and. However, I feel like when Joe went back after he wussed out from the brand, I really think that if his dad and his partner, if those guys were awake, they would have taken him back in.
100%. They seemed really nice.
They really did.
So.
They really did, you know? And like I said, I mean, I feel like Jack's stepdad, Bill, and Joe's dad, they really did care for him. They weren't willing to, you know... Think about how old these kids are. They're between the ages of like 16 and 19, save for Ethan, of course. I feel like every kid at that age has problems with their parents, you know? I mean, that's just part of growing up. The first time we meet Jim and Bob, where's the war? Up your ass. That's my favorite response ever. That might be my favorite Skinner line in the whole film.
That's pretty good.
But then Jim and Bob just showing their privilege. Only a couple of middle-aged white guys could fucking discharge a firearm in a cop's direction that close to him like that and live to tell about it.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, literally, just the fact that he was able to pull his gun out and get a round off to kill that puppy. What kind of dude shoots a puppy? But the fact that he didn't just get his face blown off. Oh, it's a middle-aged white dude. Although Jack's dad, Bill, he has his priorities right from the get-go, you know, when he talks about...
No, I'm more worried about our vigilante sharpshooters than I am about a bunch of teenagers in a crash pad.
I never understood why they tagged the crime scene, you know?
It's probably the worst idea.
Seriously, right?
Why?
It's not well thought out. It's very egocentric and self-centered, which
they're young, dumb kids.
Is that a punk thing? Seriously, what the fuck? I have MILF mullet written in all caps. I'm guessing that's probably from the garage sale, right? Do you remember that?
Okay.
The ginger mullet?
Yep.
God, what a mullet. I mean, that thing was big.
It was big.
You saw it, right?
It was there.
Oh. And then, of course, later after they kind of do the garage raid, when they're drinking those steel cans of beer. Oh, have you ever had beer in a steel can?
No.
Me neither. It's, oh man. Jaws. It always makes me think of Jaws.
Oh.
Quint just... This, Yeah, that don't feel the same. Don't tell me that feels the same. And that... I loved how during one of the scenes when they were watching TV, Bert Dragon was the president of America brand or Name
Ooh.
Brand or whatever. Yeah. I believe he was... he did something for the film. I remember seeing his name in the opening credits. So I thought that was a fun little in-joke. And then, of course, you know, when... Evan's going to go inside and grab some water and they just toss him a beer. I was like, you know, the first time when you're young like that and somebody older tosses you a beer, that's special.
It is.
You know?
It definitely.
It really is. Yeah, no, I was just thinking about when it happened for me. And yeah, that was. I was like, I'm a man now. It really is. And then, of course, when they're speculating about the future under the stars like that, sorry to break it to you, Skinner, L.A. was a toxic chemical wasteland long before the year 2000. I thought it was interesting, though, that the, Skinner, the skinhead guy, was the first one to, I mean, he's not a full-on straight edge, but he's the closest they have to a straight edge there. And
Okay, yeah.
I thought that was interesting, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fitting, don't get me wrong.
Definitely.
But definitely, yeah. And then just the fact that Evan came back for Ethan, I think that might, that's the least selfish thing in this movie.
It really is.
Seriously. I love that Reservoir Dogs shot, though. when they finally have that with the music going. I mean, if the shot in Res Dogs wasn't inspired by that, I'd genuinely be surprised. And there's no explanation at all why Razzle's on crutches.
No, not at all. Just
And like
randomly.
it never gets mentioned again in the film. I love it so much. And then, of course, later on, right before they go steal the sod, did you hear one of the girls call him Flea?
I did.
He gets called Flea, and then he's all like, "Hey, my name's Razzle," and I'm like, "Oh my god, your name's fucking Flea." And then, of course, later on during a TSOL set, you caught the Anthony Michael Hall lookalike doing the Running Man before? Yeah,
such a sad Running Man.
That was such a well. I mean, okay, but then again, he hadn't seen the guy from Harm's Way
yep.
because I'm sure that guy had been born by then, but I just. After you see the dude from Harm's Way doing the Running Man, nothing ever compares.
No.
And fuck Skinner. Just fuck Skinner. He's the least...
He was the worst of the whole thing.
He really was, I mean, kind of after he's leaving the gig, after he gets, punched in the back of the head, and notice how he was such a fucking baby about taking one in the back of the head. That was the only time in my life I've ever said, God, I really hope those jock guys just fuck up that hardcore guy. I hope nobody backs him up and they just kick his teeth in. Like, that's the only time in my life I've ever said that, and I still feel guilty about saying it,
But he deserved it.
He kind of did, thank you. And at least that dude who, it happened on his lawn, at least he didn't fucking shoot anyone.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, right, but I think he shows the most restraint in that movie with the firearm. When those asshole jock guys come back and they stab the security guard. Did you notice how as soon as there's violence erupting in the crowd, everyone joins in, but the second someone needs help, I mean, everyone's just stone still?
It's not like that anymore.
It's really not like that anymore. I mean, it was kind of disgusting to watch.
Really, really put a bad taste in your mouth almost.
It did.
Not like that.
I will say it was definitely, I mean, in my eyes, a little bit rehabilitated in the next scene where Sheila's kind of reading to Sheila's reading to Ethan, like right before he's going to sleep and everything. Then Razzle's like, "Have you hugged your kid today?" Just, I mean, literally every one of them in that house is totally dedicated to giving Ethan a better life than they had, Right. And I mean, it's respectable,
Definitely.
But Razzle and that fucking rat, oh my, like when it's in his mouth, oh my god.
And that rat was not even like a cute rat, like that rat fit in. It was missing hair and...
What's a cute rat look like?
A cute little, like, white, fluffy little rat. Like a mouse. Okay, a mouse.
No, what? No.
Not a rat.
No. I mean,
mice are cute, not rats.
I think we should get another cat.
We are.
Yeah, let's get another cat. Let's just have like 6 cats and no mice. I'm down. When Ethan's blowing those snot rockets, it reminded me, I can't remember what season of The Real World it was, but that one guy on the bike who just kept fucking, you know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I never saw this.
Oh, fuck, I'll have to pull it up for you later. Oh my god. And then when they're in front of the convenience store, and of course Razzle spray paints TR, and for the rest of that shot, where'd the TR go?
Oh.
Yeah, a little continuity error I caught. I'll have to rewatch it again and make sure that it was exactly where I thought it was. But just from where I was watching, it looked like it was a continuity error. Just fun little thing. But he did make gas station eggs better when he dumped that fucking Slurpee in there.
Nobody likes pickled eggs.
Nobody likes them, especially from like a convenience store.
But blue raspberry pickled eggs?
Yeah, hell yeah. Bill genuinely gives a shit about Jack. He gives a shit about all those kids. And he knows how to talk to kids, and with the fact he even suggests paying them.
Right. All their little heads poke out.
Mm-hmm. And of course, right, when Skinner does have a good point, probably the best point he has, in the movie when he says, well, most of us couldn't afford college and high school, and then Evan says, yeah, families don't work out. I mean, those are legitimate things that for a lot of kids, I mean, they're real problems,
Still is, yeah.
Definitely still is, and back then it was too. I mean, it's something that you really just can't overlook like that,
No.
You can't just tell people, go home. That's assuming a lot. You saw that minor threat graffiti, like when they find Sheila, right? That just, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, minor threat. One other thing I was kind of thinking about, because they were around at this time, and sure, maybe they weren't truly punk. I mean, they were the inventors of pop punk, so definitely not so punk. Would have been really nice to see Descendants in this film.
That would have been cool.
I mean, definitely they would have kind of not fit in as much, but yeah, Descendants would have been awesome. And then when they find Sheila, I really think we're at a point in our society with the opioid epidemic / the opiate epidemic. I think we need to make Narcan accessible, like condom accessible. I mean, we're at a point now we really can't ignore it. I mean, and I feel like had they gotten to her with Narcan a little bit sooner, I mean,
she might have been okay.
Maybe, but what the fuck? I mean, hey, sorry, your daughter killed herself with an OD, but we just we wrapped her up in a blanket.
We're gonna drop her off on your doorstep.
Please take her. My arms are tired. That was so fucked up. Like, what the
Right?
hell? And then it was just so fucked up because I've seen lots of real world echoes of this. I mean, Sheila's family drove her away as a young person, and then when her friends try to come grieve with them, I mean, just, not intimidating or harassing them. They're just there to grieve their friend. They drive her away like that. They drove her away, and then they drive the TR kids away just because they're different. I mean, it's sad, but it happens,
It's very sad.
It is. But that turned into the Pet Cemetery funeral real fucking quick.
Right?
Seriously, oh my god. And seeing the young Vandals like that was awesome. I mean, just because, my introduction to the Vandals, they were a little bit older, and I mean, those guys still rocked and stuff, but getting to see them young like that, I was like, oh my god, this is fucking dope. And Jim would fucking creep on strippers like that. Like, literally, he is the type of dude in a strip club, like, hey, I like your personality.
God, that was awful.
Hey, I like your personality.
Very uncomfortable.
It was. I mean, but it was so fitting to the character.
Oh, it did, yeah.
I mean, definitely, it was. I hope that line was improvised by the actor, and just like, I'm like, oh, man, you're just that good at being a creep. Kudos to you, sir. Because, I mean, both those guys, I mean, I really hated both of them just watching it. I mean, so they did a very good job, and I kind of hope that you were supposed to hate Skinner, too, because I hated him, too. I hated Skinner almost as much. And then, of course, when Bob's given that whole speech, like, can you imagine how her mother felt trying to bury her only daughter? And I'm like, well, how do you think Sheila felt when you fucking tore her clothes off and held her at gunpoint? You
Right?
fucking asshole. I mean, just the only thing he cared about is her parents, but he never once in that whole speech did he mention how Sheila might have felt about anything. She literally just referred to her as a possible OD, Heartbreaking it is after that final scene. Did you notice the continuity error there?
Mm-mm.
All right, so Jim and Bob, they run over Ethan, and then they're trying to back out of the driveway, but they're stopped by, Bill in his police car, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it cuts to that long shot, like overviewing everyone, with Evan holding Ethan and everything, we don't see headlights, we see taillights.
Oh.
So that was one thing I noticed is like the car's actually, it's facing forward like it was going to pull out directly. So, I mean, a little bit of continuity error, but really, if I was able to pick that up on the shot, I really wasn't paying attention, was I? All right, just some final thoughts about the film. I feel like punks today really don't give a fuck versus the punks of that era. They were more concerned with shock value.
Stick it to the man.
Exactly, where I feel like people today are more just
Like,
don't give a fuck, I mean, especially like with the appearance and everything, that was one thing. It was crazy to see how much differently everyone, I guess, but really just a sign of the times, there were a couple facial piercings, but not many. And even when they were, there was only like nostrils or lips or eyebrows. Nobody had a septum piercing.
no.
There were a handful of tattoos, but nobody had anything like a completed sleeve or anything like that. I mean like at all in the movie.
That was kind of weird.
Right? It was very weird. I mean, and I guess films of that era, you're really not going to see a whole lot of that, but still, even in like the punk scene, just not seeing anyone, like heavily tatted.
Draw them on or something.
Right? I mean, but I guess now, if you're thinking the punk scene, I mean, you're going to see a bunch of dudes who look like me. I mean, that's what the punk scene looks like now. It's ear stretching. I don't think that had been invented yet because nobody in that film has gay. And it's just so weird to see everyone with, like their funky clothes, like their loud, dyed, bright hair. But nobody has like fucking septum rings or stretched ears or, like neck tattoos and of course, all the tattoos in that film you see, I mean, they're in very, coverable places.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing big. It's just, it's just different and a lot more leather too, and a lot more like torn jeans, that type of thing. The aesthetic is very different than it is now. But of course, also just thinking about how those kids, they're, between the ages of like what we said, 15, 19-ish, I mean, really, how old can you be and still live that somewhat nomadic punk lifestyle like that?
There's a cap out age for sure.
There definitely is. I mean, I think I was pretty much done with it by the time I was like old enough to drink, like 21, you know?
I think that was about,
It was, and of course, like I never lived in the punk house, but I rolled around, with like an old, like cot and a sleeping bag in my trunk just because, like, hey, I mean, just assume you aren't going to go home tonight and you're just going to sleep somewhere else, It's like if you do sleep at home, great, but don't count on it.
Yeah, I couldn't do that now.
Yeah, no,
There's
I couldn't do it either, but Yeah, I mean, and even if you don't, I guess, like, quote unquote, move out by then, there's definitely got to be a cutoff age. I think probably 21 for me. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
And don't get me wrong, that's not saying that I can't couch surf anymore. I can still do that. I just need, to like a week to prepare for it. How do you feel about rats as pets?
I don't want one.
Yeah, me neither. No, are you, dude?
It's the cat. Remember?
Yeah, no, dude. Rats? Okay, no, I'm glad that we're in agreement on this. Just because I had a friend when I was years ago, like after college, and she was awesome and everything, but she had this pet rat that she fucking loved, and and like every time I'd go hang out with her, like a smoke or whatever, she was very nice. She knew I was uncomfortable around, but she put the rat in its cage, and even then I was like, I don't like knowing it's there. I don't like, I hated hearing it, and like
people that have spiders, like I will never understand.
I'd have a spider before a rat. Would you have a rat before a spider?
Yeah.
No, that's fucked up. That is
There's
so
too many legs. Spiders are like the tarantula. No.
Loran, I've wasted enough of your time. Thank you so much.
Of course, no thank you.